Mariusz Pudzianowski eats strong men for breakfast. He's won his last 21 consecutive strongman events. But now, here in Chengdu in China, comes the biggest test of all for the man who has twice been world's strongest man. Mariusz Pudzianowski conquered the world in 2002 and 2003, but last year his bid to join the greats of Bill Kazmaier, Magnus Ver Magnusson and John Paul Sigmarsson as a three-times champion fell short. So, can the Dominator from Poland become just the fourth ever athlete to win 3 Metrex World's Strongest Man titles? It's time to find out. Here we go then with the third of 5 qualifying rounds in this year's championship, and our commentary team is led by Nick Halling.
Thanks very much, John. Let's start with the medley. That's the course. Here are the rules. You've got 75 seconds to complete the 40-metre course. You've got to carry that anchor, drag that anchor and chain, and then when you've done that, a 495-pound lump of metal has got to be carried 20 metres. And here are the 5 guys looking to do it. Steve Bourgeois from Quebec, the 36-year-old. From Canada. Here's Brian Irwin from Belfast. One of the quiet men of the world of strongman. Don Pope, the American. Construction worker by trade from Cleveland, Ohio. But this is who they've come to see. Mariusz Pudzianowski. And that is Polish for Polish power. That fella has it in abundance. The 2-time world's strongest man. And rounding out the group, Michael Starov of the Ukraine, the man who says he's got the nicest hair of anyone in strongman. He's got a few more skills than that as well. Talking of nice hair, Colin Bryce is alongside me. Colin, can anybody beat Mariusz Pudzianowski?
Well, I see it as a huge task to beat someone like Pudzianowski. I certainly wouldn't like to be in a heat with him. And look at Brian Irwin there, already slipped over that first 10 metres. That's a disaster for the Irishman.
It's the 2 East Europeans, the Pole and the Ukrainian, that have got the early lead here. Pudzianowski with his nose in front. Starov trying to stay with him, and Irwin has made a good recovery, but he's still got some work to do. But no doubt about the leader. And now, what can he do with this 495-pound lump of metal? And when we saw the first heat, Colin, nobody could drag this 20 metres.
It's just a little bit too far, really. You can see how wide it is on the legs. And only Pudzianowski can do this, can't he? Well, I don't know what the others are going to manage here. The taller man probably has an added bonus. It can swing that little bit easier between the legs.
He's made it look so easy so far. Can he complete the job? Plenty of time, still 20 seconds left. He'll do it easily. Look at that. The Iron Man of strongman has done it. Nobody else is coming close.
And he didn't really need to go that far, did he? There's a huge battle here for second place, and it's neck and neck.
Yep, Pope to the far side, Starov nearest to us. Starov's just got the lead at the moment. Last few seconds now, great second effort from Pope. That's second place at the moment. There's the whistle, and that won't count from Starov. Pope will have taken it just with that second effort right on the whistle. Well, you can see it there. Pope just in the lead, and there's the whistle.
Well, that's a big blow for the Ukrainian, who was perhaps seed number 2 in this heat.
Happy.
Yeah, second spot for Don Pope. Brian Irwin's early stumble really knocked him out of contention, but no doubt about our winner, as expected, Mariusz Pudzianowski, the 2-time world's strongest man, did it again, and he's talking now to Bill Kazmaier.
Mariusz, that did not look heavy for you.
Yes, not heavy, only now pain stomach because last night I eat food and coke. Sleep only 2 hours. Now pain stomach is not heavy for me.
You traveled a long way to get to this competition. How many hours flight?
I have flight 16 hours. It's very, very long flight.
Well, all those hours in the air haven't stopped him performing to his best. So as expected, it's Pudzianowski who takes an early lead here in Chengdu in China. And this could well turn out to be a race for second place in this group, as only 2 can qualify from each of the 5 groups for a grand final consisting of 10 athletes. Let's take a closer look now at Group 2.
Brian Irwin, Northern Ireland.
Don Pope, USA. Michael Staro, Ukraine.
Steve Bourgeois, Canada.
Mariusz Pudzianowski, Poland.
The second event for the athletes is a long tradition in strongman sport, the squat lift, where Don Pope of America has managed 5 repetitions and Steve Bourgeois of Canada is currently leading with 6. But before we get to the live action, let's hear more from the man they call the Dominator.
I am 2 times world strongest man. Maybe this year, 3rd time. I hope.
Only 3 men in the history of this event have won it more than twice. Our very own Bill Kazmaier won it 3 times in a row in the 80s, and Iceland's John Paul Sigmarsson and Magnus Bear Magnusson each won it 4 times, so winning a 3rd would put Pudzianowski in elite company.
I want to be the best strongman ever. I want 5 times world strongest man. Maybe for me it's possible.
So Steve Bourgeois' 6 reps in 40.19 is the benchmark. You would expect Mariusz Pudzianowski to blow that away. We shall see. There's the first one. And in come the barrels. You can see the effect it has on the body as that barrel drops. Just watch Pudzianowski's body just shudder every time one of those barrels lands.
Well, it's as if squatting wasn't hard enough, the weight on your back, but then throw in some more just to make it a bit tougher. Now, one thing you have to say about Pudzianowski is he does everything fast. You can see there, already going through 5 barrels very quickly.
There's the 6th, and he's comfortably inside Bourgeois' time, but this is the test for him. He struggled on that 6th, and he's taking his time here on the 7th, and he's not going to make it. But he goes into the lead, 6 reps. And well inside Steve Bourgeois' time, 31.39. That's good enough for first place so far.
Well, Pudzianowski chooses a very deep stance here, all legs. You can see just how low his posterior drops there, almost to the back of his heels.
Brian Irwin from Belfast had that problem in the medley when he had an early stumble. And you can't have an early stumble and give a world-class field like this any opportunity. He was never able to make it up. Anyway, 1 down. How many more has Brian got?
Well, Brian does a very strange squat, feet very close together, bar very high up the neck, and that's got to cause a lot of pain up on the top of your spine.
4, safely done. Pope did 5 in 27.96. And so he's going to get in front of that. But how much more's he got? That 5th rep looked like it took a lot out of him, and the 6th is too far. Well, Brian Irwin has to settle for 5, and I think he's just got inside Don Pope's.
Well, he got mousetrapped there, didn't he? It's such a brutal machine, this. Isn't used to this kind of international equipment, Irwin. Very inexperienced to the top level. He doesn't even bring himself some top squatting shoes either, and I think he's one for the future.
So to complete the quintet, and the man who knows exactly what he's got to do, Michael Starov. And you would think that the Ukrainian, with his powerlifting background, would have a big advantage in this event. Pudzianowski watches.
Very much like the Olympic lifting. It's a routine each time. Having a shuffle with his feet there, so already going slower than Pudzianowski, who blasted away on the first 3 barrels.
But the time won't matter if he gets all 7 reps. It's reps that count first, and nobody got all 7. So here's a chance for 5, and Pudzianowski's looking on as if to say to himself, hey, this fella's going pretty well.
Well, his head's shaking there. He knows his time is fast, but the world powerlifting champion, everything to do here.
And he's done it, and he's made it look easy. 34.44. You expected the powerlifter to do well, and Michael Starov certainly delivered, pushing Pudzianowski into second place.
365 kilos, that last barrel, a phenomenally big weight, but for this man, he's done 1 rep maxes over 400 kilos before.
Mikhail, over 2,000 kilos, 7 successful lifts. You made that look pretty easy.
Yeah, it was easy actually. I could do 1 more reps, I think, if it was the 7th barrel. It wasn't too hard.
Some people are calling this the group of death. Do you think you can make it through to the final?
I would like to. I want it very badly, you know, but I think it will be very difficult because we can say with sure that Marush will be the first. I think he's very, very good. And we 4 guys only is competing for the 1 place to finals, and this is very hard.
You said before you had the nicest haircut in strongman. Is this really true?
No, it was when I was blonde. I was like Jesse Marunda is. Now he has the best.
Looking good and really strong. You've got it all.
I hope so.
And Jesse Marundi and his haircut you can see in Heat 5. So there's proof that Pudzianowski is human and beatable, with Starov taking maximum points in the second event, the squat lift. But not surprisingly, the Pole still leads after 2 events. He's got a 1-point cushion ahead of the Ukrainian, with Don Pope in third along with Steve Bourgeois. And Brian Irwin of Northern Ireland is bringing up the rear at the moment.
The next event is the Hercules hold. 2 pillars together weighing over 700 pounds, and they're literally trying to pull your arms out of their sockets. You've got to hold on to them for as long as you possibly can, and the maximum time is a winner. But those pillars really sap your strength and drain your resolve, and the first man to test himself on the pillars is the man from Belfast, Brian Irwin, one of the quiet men of strongman.
I compete in strongman because it's been in me since a small child, wanting to be strong, wanting to do things that normal people don't do. I would say my condition would be a lot better than it has been in previous contests. My fitness has improved. I think I'm ready for this World Strongman. This should be my best performance. Hopefully I'm going to get into the final. I would say my heat's one of the hardest, but I've got a good chance.
This is one of those events where you just cannot hide. You'll see it in their faces, and you'll definitely see it in their arms when the strain starts to get too much. Now, how long can Irwin hold on for? A good benchmark is 30 seconds. Anything past 30 seconds is a real bonus.
10 seconds. The world record up just over a minute. I don't suppose we'll see that. And you know, one of the things about grip, as much as you train it, it's just a great test of natural strength. Very hard to improve on it.
Well, Irwin's looking solid so far, but when it all goes, it goes quickly, just like that. He looked fine at 20 seconds, but didn't even make 26. And he'll be disappointed with that.
25.58 isn't wonderful. Let's not pretend. I think Brian Irwin perhaps had a few problems with his hands there. He doesn't have the biggest hands, and it is a very big grip to hold on to. And I'm sure that didn't help him.
So next up, the Canadian Steve Bourgeois.
Obviously, it's a dream come true to be here as kind of the pinnacle of my career, and it's something I've always wanted to do before I retire, and I guess now I can.
Came through the Super Series to get here, mixing in exalted company. Can he finish in the top 2 here?
Well, there's been a qualification process this year through the Super Series. You had to finish top 4 in one of the 4 competitions around the world to get here, or be the next highest qualifiers.
Well, Bourgeois just gritting his teeth there early on, and he is really suffering. He may not make Brian Irwin's mark. Just hanging on at the moment. And this is mind over matter. Mentally, he is so focused. He's done a terrific job because he was looking like he was really struggling as early as 15 seconds.
Can't help when you start to hear the crowd. It really can bring you along. I'm just amazed. I thought he would do half of this time.
Well, it just goes to show that appearances can be deceptive, because he looked like he was suffering after 15 seconds, and he's closing in on a minute. 53.59. That is a phenomenal mark.
Well, almost pulled over to the right-hand side, wasn't he? Hand went into rigor mortis there. Just couldn't let go of it. But a very impressive performance from Bourgeois, the Canadian, who's certainly very tough-minded. Wasn't about to give up before he had to.
Steve, you look like you're going through a little bit of discomfort up there until you settled in with a strong 53-plus hold. Tell us about the pain you were feeling.
Yeah, it was pretty painful, especially the initial jolt when the pillars let go, but I kind of settled in and worked through the pain, and I'm very happy with my time of 53. Hopefully it'll stand up. We got some good guys coming up after me.
Yes, 53.59. That is quite a task for anybody following. And next up, it's the man from Ohio, Don Pope, the construction worker. And I don't think anything in his job would train him for something like this.
Are you ready? Yes. Take the strain.
So we're underway for the American.
Talk about tough guy. Just 6 weeks ago in the Ukraine, competing for America, smashed both his front teeth out in a log lifting event. Carried on with the event before he went to hospital. So I think he's pretty tough.
Well, that's the American way, isn't it? You've got to play through pain. And he's feeling pain right now, but trying not to show it. And there's the first milestone. He's got past 30 seconds. Can he get to 53.59? Long, long way to go. And when the tank hits empty, it's very sudden indeed. Literally, you're feeling okay, then within 3 or 4 seconds, it's all gone, and that arm's going. And you saw the left arm start to go, and he just couldn't hold it, but that's not a bad score.
Great score for Pope, 45.23 seconds. World-class time for him. Bourgeois, though, must be feeling like he stands a good chance of beating the Great One.
Well, Maros Pudzianowski might even have been surprised at the figures that the two North Americans have put up. It means he's going to have to do some work here on the Hercules pillars. But if there's anybody you'd fancy to crack the magic minute, it would be him. Could he do it right here?
Yes! Take the strain!
So off we go. Pudzianowski with 53.59 to beat.
Well, as I said, one of these natural strengths, very hard to train. And just by looking at his body, you can see how well trained he is. Outtrains anybody else. Christmas Day, he's there twice in the gym, working 5 hours. He's so tough, so determined to be champion for 3, maybe even 5 times. But because it is a natural thing, it'll be very difficult for him to improve much above his natural best.
And it looks like he's starting to suffer, and he's got a good 13 seconds to go if he wants to beat the Canadian. And this is all grit. 44.86. Under normal circumstances, that would be a pretty good time. In this field, it's going to have him in the middle of the pack.
Just having another quick look there. You can see he's in control, going up past 40 seconds. And suddenly, just what you were talking about there, it goes in a heartbeat. As soon as it slips, that's it.
Oh, Michael Staroff in second place overall. Remember, the top 2 qualify for the final. And when you think that Pudzianowski's almost guaranteed one of those spots, it's the race for second place.
You happy with that?
Bourgeois' 53.59.
Are you ready?
Must look like an hour.
Yes. Say yes,
As far as Michael Staroff is concerned, it's an awfully tough job to try and beat that.
I'm not entirely sure he had the tension right in the change there. Did you see that? The pillars just dropped about an inch right when the whistle went, and that must have caused a jolt on his hands.
Steve Bourgeois looking on. Is Staroff the last man up? Gonna pip him. at the post. Still not at 30, and no, it was never right for him, was it? And you saw it early, Colin. It was all wrong right from the start.
Well, when you've got 180 kilos in each hand, a 1-inch movement can cause a serious amount of pressure. Probably could multiply that by double.
So that's perhaps an unexpected victory for Steve Bourgeois, but it puts him right in contention, and maybe the Hercules hold is the Achilles heel of Mariusz Pudzianowski. But at the halfway point, as the Canadian celebrates with his Chinese fan club, it's clear that Pudzianowski's not getting everything his own way, because there's only 3 points separating the top 4 competitors in Heat 3 of World's Strongest Man.
Things you never knew about China, number 3. 2 of the most popular rock acts over here at the moment are called Suffocation and Brain Failure, but the most popular Western music act across China is Richard Clayderman. Well, I enjoyed the pig lung so much. We're moving on now to the cow's tongue.
I am Mariusz Pudzianowski from Poland. I will come back to World's Strongest Man. This year, I win. I show you who is the best. Polska górą!
Polish power from Pudzianowski, but next up, the 5 Fingal Fingers. They get heavier as you go along. They start at 440, they finish at 660. You've got to turn them all over within 75 seconds. Well, first up, and on his own, Brian Irwin. It can be such a disadvantage to do this on your own because you haven't got anybody to feed off, and Brian certainly found the going tough. 2 was his limit. 3 was just 1 finger too far. Mikhail Starov G'ing himself up. And he'll need to be G'd up against Mariusz Pudzianowski. The overall leader, as you would expect. And he's pretty good at the old Fingal Fingers. A man with lots of experience of turning these 5 blocks of wood through 180 degrees and in double quick time as well. You don't get too many 5s. That's how difficult it is, but it would be a surprise if this fella doesn't make 5, and he's gone off like a hare out of a trap.
Well, Pudzianowski might not have legs as strong as Starov in the squatting, but he's certainly extremely explosive, and that's a big help in this kind of event.
Yes, he's absolutely tearing through this field. Starov's going okay on the other side. This is no shabby achievement from the Ukrainian. He's got his 3, but it's 4 for the Pole, and he's making short shrift of this. Starov struggling with his 4th. It's going to be important for the Ukrainian to make that 4th, and I don't think he's going to get it, but no doubt about this at all from Pudzianowski, as we expected. 5 out of 5.
Starov still struggling on there with the shoulder shunting method. When the arms start to get too tired to hold these weights up, that's all you've got left to do.
Well, that's a bonus, though, Colin. That is a real bonus. He didn't look like he was going to make it, but he's made the 4th. He won't make the 5th for certain, but what an effort, because he looked beaten on that 4th one. It could be so significant.
He doesn't look well at all, does he? I think that squatting really took it out of him. He was so keen to beat Mariusz on his home event, as it were.
So the 2 East Europeans have set the target. Pudzianowski getting all 5, and Starov getting 4 in under a minute. And up next, it's an all-North American battle, and here's Don Pope from Ohio.
2 years ago when I went to Zambia, it was a dream come true. You know, I was in a group with some guys I'd been watching for years. You know, I had Magnus, I had Savickas. You know, I'd rather go against the best than maybe slide in there with a weaker group, you know. And, you know, I won an event, and, you know, I made some rookie mistakes. This year should be a different story, you know. I'm not just glad to be here. You know, I'm stronger now, I'm in better shape, I'm bigger. Some say even better looking.
Well, if Don wants to think he's good looking, he's not going to get any argument here. And here's another handsome chap, Steve Bourgeois. Currently tied for second place after that tremendous effort with the Hercules pillars. Well, some slightly different pillars to deal with now for the Canadian.
Take your positions!
Now remember, Staroff put 4 over in just under a minute. That's got to be the benchmark for these two fellas to beat if they want to try and stay in the race for second place. And they've both made a solid start. Pope is flying, but Bourgeois is right on his heels as well. This is good stuff from the two North Americans.
They both look like they've put their time in training as well. Technique very good. Elbows locked out. Arms driving at the same time as the legs. That's what you need.
Pope's done 4, way ahead of Staroff, and he's got a chance at 5 here as well. Now, can Bourgeois do 4.5 for Pope in 39.47? A phenomenal effort from him, but Bourgeois is in big, big trouble on that 4th one. Tremendous encouragement from this crowd. And he goes for the old shoulder shunt. It worked for Staroff. Can it work for Bourgeois? And then it's a question of the clock.
Well, the thing is, the lower down that Fingal's finger you are, the heavier it becomes. You're closer to the pivot point. That was probably very sore in the shoulder.
So Bourgeois will have to settle for 4th.
And so Don Pope, one of the new breed of emerging American strongmen stars, takes maximum points there. Pudzianowski perhaps playing a conservative game as he picks up points, 2nd place here, 3rd place there, because at the end of the day, all he has to do is get to the final, and at the moment, he's standing in pole position, 2 points clear of Pope, but Staroff and Bourgeois not out of it.
I'm here at the log lift, the 5th of 6 events for Group 3. At 286 pounds, this might as well be half a tree. After a few repetitions, the athletes will feel like they've got the entire forest in their hands. Their arms and shoulders will feel like they're in an inferno. With every rep, their body will be gasping for air. With their entire body spent, the only thing they'll have left is their will and the promise of 2 spots left in the final.
Well, in the overhead lift, poor old Brian Irwin was nobby-no-mates again. He had to go it alone, but he did a very useful job with just the crowd to urge him on. The man from Belfast would have to settle for 8. Not bad.
Contest is 75 seconds long. 286 pounds, 130 kilograms. You have to lift it to your chest and lift it to arm's length as many times as possible.
Steve Bourgeois of Canada, currently lying in 4th place, but only 2 points separate 2nd from 4th, and Pudzianowski hasn't exactly raced away from them in the lead either, but this is the interesting battle. It's Pope, Bourgeois and Staroff locked in a battle for 2nd place, and here's 2 guys right here.
Take your grip.
That not only are they battling this 286-pound log, they're battling each other as well, and they know it. All right. Well, there's 1 for each of them. Now, again, you'd think Staroff with that powerlifting background, this is an event that he would excel at.
Well, not only that, but he's also quite short compared to some of the other athletes. Bourgeois up at 6'5" nearly, long arms as well. Much further to go with that weight, but Staroff, look at this, has a little jerk with the legs, snaps with the triceps. You can see why he's in the lead.
Meanwhile, Steve Bourgeois is in real trouble. No, he's going to have to settle for 3 before he has his first break. And usually you get the most lifts you're going to get on your first set of lifts. So, as you see, Staroff managed to pull in 7. Bourgeois with 3. He may struggle to get to 5 or even 6. Staroff gets to 8, so he joins Brian Irwin. Bourgeois manages to pick up another one, and he can't get to 5. And in fact, they're not even giving him the 4th one either. Staroff's happy enough. 9 for him, but Steve Bourgeois, well, he hit empty very quickly, and that could be huge in the race for a top 2 spot, and I think he knows it. This is disastrous for him.
Well, it was a touch-and-go decision for that 9th repetition for Starov there. Just held it up long enough. All it needs is a momentary pause with locked elbows and feet in line. So, he takes the lead.
Mikhail, you knew you needed 8 reps. You did 9. That's got to make you happy.
Yes, I'm totally happy because I've never done so many reps before. This is my personal best record. I did only 7 before maybe. So I did everything I can, even more.
Well, what would it mean to you personally to make it into the final?
I know, it was my dream. 15 years ago, I already was lifting weights and I saw this competition on TV and I thought, oh God, they are so great, the guys. I would never be there, I think. And now dreams come true, you know.
Well, it must have been Don Pope's dream when he beat Mariusz Pudzianowski in the single fingers. Now, can he beat him with this big log? Well, that's going to be a very tall order. And Pudzianowski will know that he needs a good performance here because Pope and Starov are not that far behind him. He doesn't want to have too many more slip-ups. So, can Pope build on that good effort in the single fingers, or can Pudzianowski win this event, thereby putting himself in the final for certain?
Well, I know it's a bit ridiculous saying it's a great event for Pudzianowski. Every event is great for the Pole, but this one in particular, he is particularly special at.
Starov had to stop at 7. Pudzianowski is still going. Pope's going pretty well. And that lift right there is the lift that puts Pudzianowski into the final. Everything else is a bonus for him. As expected, he is going to come through. The interesting thing is what's happening to Pope. Well, he's got to 8. Pudzianowski can allow himself a smile. He doesn't need to do any more work. Pope does. He needs one more to level with Michael Starov, and that could be a very significant lift as we see Pudzianowski just showboating now. Showing off because you can. 13 for him. Pope, this is a very serious lift. This to level with Starov. Now, if he can find another, that could be very significant indeed. Can he do it? No. It was close. He's going to have to settle for a tie with Michael Starov. He put everything into that, the American.
Well, the group of death is becoming a very apt saying, isn't it? This is a hard competition, but Pudzianowski there on the 12th rep, just joking around, lifts it up and starts smiling at the referee. He really is in control at the moment. Great tricep power and fabulous fitness.
Mariusz, you looked smooth in the log press. Was it as easy as it looked?
Yes, today this log is for me easy. 130 kilo is very heavy. For me today is light. 12 reps is today is okay. Next time maybe more.
Well done to Mariusz Pudzianowski, back on song, 13 reps, clearly better than the rest. Brian Irwin, that's a good performance with 8, but Pope with 9 and Starov with 9 means you can't separate them in the overhead lift, and there's just 1 point between the two with 1 event left. It's going to be Pope or Starov to join the all-conquering Pole in the final.
So we come to the last event, the Atlas Stones. We know Pudzianowski's through, but will it be Don Pope or Michael Starov that joins him in the final? Well, just a confirmation of the rules. They've got 75 seconds to get those stones on those pillars, and those stones go up in weight. Brian Irwin was forced to go it alone again, and it would prove to be his last act of this leg. He would have to settle for 4 stones. A pretty impressive performance overall for Brian Irwin, but no place in the final for him. Mariusz Pudzianowski, as expected, is in the final. But one man who won't be going is Steve Bourgeois. That log lift, when he came last, has effectively put him out of contention. So this heat really just a matter of personal interest, really, for both these fellas. It's the next one that will have everything on the line when Starov and Pope go head-to-head. Let's keep an eye on that score clock as well. The clock, let's see how quickly the Pole can get through all these five. He is flying.
I think a world-class time here will be anything under 30 seconds. It might get through the first four quickly, but this fifth one, 160 kilos. Well, I was going to say it's Herculean. Certainly Pudzianowski didn't find it too difficult.
23.71. And Bourgeois in there as well. 32.72.
Pudzianowski just has muscles in places I don't even have places. He's just outrageously ripped, isn't he? In great shape, and all of it is functional. I think he'll be a real threat once again in the final.
But this is where it gets interesting. On the left, Michael Starov. On the right, Don Pope. Pope has a 1-point lead, so Starov knows he has to beat the American. If the American finishes ahead of Starov in this heat, then he will be going through to the final in second place. So the pressure really on Michael Starov. And of course, if Starov beats Pope, and was that a false start? Well, the officials have let it go on. He was certainly off to a flyer there, the American. And this is a very, very good start for Don Pope, and it's starting to look bad for Michael Starov.
Well, flying is the word, as Don Pope is putting in a tremendous time here. This, at the moment, is faster than Pudzianowski.
And it's going to be fast. Look at that. 22.89. Almost a full second faster than Pudzianowski. And if you're going to book your place in the final, that is the way to do it. Michael Starov was never in the hunt. Don Pope just grabbed that from the first step when he perfectly anticipated the whistle and flew towards that first stone, and there was nothing Starov could do about it. It's the American that's through. What a flyer, what a performance.
Well, that's pretty hard for Starov to take. The shorter athlete always struggles in this kind of event, the Atlas Stones, but for Don Pope, absolute poetry in motion. Just timed it perfectly in each one of the stones.
Yeah, the big man from Cleveland has earned his place in the final.
Well, you have to feel sorry for Brian Irwin. This was a really hard group for him to be in. 4 men getting all 5 stones up, and Don Pope beating Pudzianowski by almost a second.
Don, that was an incredible performance. Faster than Marius, the fastest in the world. You got to be excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I couldn't ask for, you know, it was a flawless victory. You know, I wish I could have been back-to-back with Marius, but, you know, I can't ask for anything more than that. I wanted to finish on a strong note, roll me into the final, and maybe keep Marius awake at night instead of, you know, me. I loaded that last stone, you know, probably 10 times last night in bed, so it was over. It was all said and done. It was just a matter of how fast it was going to be done.
So there's confirmation of Pudzianowski and Pope being the 2 from Group 3 going through to the final. Bad luck on Starov, who was a very creditable third, and Brian Irwin picking up 8 points at the foot. And so we have 6 men qualified for the final now, 2 North Americans and 4 Europeans. It could be the best World's Strongest Man final ever. So Marius Pudzianowski firing a warning shot across the bows of all his fellow competitors. He's determined to win a 3rd World's Strongest Man title. And here in China at the moment, he's on fire.